Hey, yo, here we go. Hey, I like it. We're back again, and hopefully we're going to come up with something that will be of use to you. And somebody made a request here in this wonderful list on my Facebook page that people were so helpful with when I asked for topics and titles, how templating humanity and the collective works. Very interesting title because it's actually happening right now, whether we like it or not. And we have, at this particular point, a lot of way showers, if you want to call them that, or if you want to call them twin flames, or if you want to call them soulmates, or if you want to call them light workers, if you just want to call them Harry and Jane. I don't think really anyone of us really care what you call us, but especially in my case, you don't call me late for lunch. I hate being late for lunch, all right? It bothers me, no end. So call me what you want, just don't call me late for lunch, all right? How templating the collective of humanity works. Okay, I think we can dabble into that one for 5 or 10. Whoop, I've lost my pen. Okay, now, I think when we talk about the collective, I think what we're talking about basically is something along this line, and I want to kind of get into it for a second and kind of give the information I think where I want, the way I want to go with it. We are now 7 point something billion, if not more, people on the planet. And every one of us has a state of consciousness. And every day in that state of consciousness, 7 point billion, et cetera, of us are contributing through our mental, emotional, and daily lives energy through thought, visualization, and seeing to the collective. And I'm going to call the collective this gigantic thought form of, in general terms, lower vibrational energy that humanity has been completing and creating since the greater payload going in, since the Industrial Revolution started, and we started inventing technology. Once we started getting and coming of technological age, so to speak, we actually thought and think, and still do, that we are an extremely intelligent species. I don't know about you people out there, but the more I know, the dumber I think I am. But that's just me. What do I know? I'm just a country boy. Simple and not too bright. Most of you are all smarter than I am, more educated than I am, got a lot more going than I have. So what happens is those 7 point whatever billion people are contributing to this gigantic thought form. And this thought form is increased and exemplified every day. And as you look around in the world today and you see the stuff that's coming out, the Me Too movement, the expose on sexual abuse, the political expose, the religious expose that's going on in so many religions at this particular point. And we find people in authority who are dictators and politicians who have only their own interest at heart and not the interest of the people as a whole. What happens is that is adding to this gigantic thought form. And imagine the 7 billion of us creating that gigantic energy field or that thought form are now living on a very crowded planet where there's so many of us. And imagine we have evolved to such a point that the unimaginable has happened. The unimaginable has happened. We are now capable with the technology and the smarts that we have evolved to, capable of literally turning the oceans into a magnificent cesspool of human ingenuity, then imagine also that we can do this with our smarts at this particular point in time, that we have this great, humongous collective, a thought form presentation of all of the combination of the input of all of humanity that is continually growing and expanding, and it's filtering downward into physical reality. And then take a look at our weather patterns. And then imagine, if you will, that that thought form, that collective consciousness, if you will, is now affecting not only the oceans and turning it into a cesspool, of which most of us pretend doesn't even happen or exist. All right? We just live our life and we live in pretendism. It's not happening. Nothing to do with me. I don't do anything. I didn't put anything in there. All right? Because we're busy enjoying our life and doing what we want to do, and who cares what everybody else is doing as long as I get what I want kind of attitude. And that's going in to the collective consciousness. So at some point, the evolutionary process comes along and says, holy shit, man, we got to make some changes here. These people are going to kill themselves. They're going to destroy their society as a whole. And we're already well on pace to doing that. But you know what? We're so smart that we've already done it in the fact with nuclear weapons, so we have enough nuclear weapons on the planet to wipe it out probably 50 times, and we still need more. I mean, we got idiots all over the place saying, we need more to protect our society and protect our people. We've got enough to wipe it out 50 times, but we still need more, we need better, we need faster, we need quicker. You really got to wonder how far stupidity is going to take us much longer. And then we got the technological advantage now of polluting the ocean. We now have the conscious ability to predict and dictate the weather patterns that are on the earth. We are creating the weather at this point. We are doing it. All right? We are climate change. We are climate change. So what happens is the evolutionary process comes along and says, we got to fix this and change this around because they have no idea what the hell they're doing. So what's happened is a great purge took place a while back, and I mentioned this, I think about 2 years ago, where I said that everything that exists in the astral planes, and I'm talking about the lower ones, in the way of souls that are there, is created here. So if you have a certain astral plane that contains a certain type of people, they were created here through thoughts and creations and the manifestation of consciousness as we know it. So what happens is, in order to begin the process, the astral planes needed to be cleaned up first. And that's what's been taking place. So as the astral planes are cleaned up and a lot of this garbage and trash is gotten rid of, all right, it gave the opportunity and a doorway to some souls that had previously evolved to a certain point where they had developed some intelligence and some smarts and no longer needed to be here, graduated, and are now returning with their experience and helping to change the collective thought form by doing something. And that is by going into certain soul groups on the planet, and there are quite a few thousand of them, different soul groups, some with a few, some with hundreds, some with hundreds of thousands of people in them. And entering into the consciousness or the collective of a particular soul group, and into the collective or the consciousness of a bloodline or a family, or into the consciousness of different races on the planet, and into different cultures and belief systems on the planet, and beginning to, through the activation of their evolutionary process unfolding through heart center activation, Kundalini activation, and ultimately the greatest experience of all, the actual going into the dream state training phase. And that's what I'm calling it, a dream state training phase, which is similar to the opportunity that some of these deceased souls in the astral plane are now coming back and being able to do, because they can do it now in a correct fashion. So if there is a place called hell, as many like to call it, it's here. Everything that we are doing here is a learning process. This is a play school for souls. Here you can see the result of your misappropriation, manipulation, misuse of co-created energy in a very short time. Individually, at a group level, at a family level, that can filter into the collective. So, as all of this is manifesting and going on, we have this wonderful plan that's unfolding. Humanity has reached the threshold where the opportunity has been given to us to move up in consciousness. But this opportunity is two-sided. It can, by choice, through the individual, become self-destructive or creative. It's a choice. Now what's happening is, from this point on, as it manifests in physical reality, the purge is now continuing on and is filtered down from the astral into the physical. And all of the impediments, blockages, and what you're seeing right now is one of them is the sexual abuse. Another is relationships are just in chaos in general rule. And the other one is the concept of love, which the spiritual community is lost in. All right, they still don't get the evolutionary process. And what's happening is all of that is being driven by this unseen force to change, to evolve, to grow. And in order to do that, what's happening is exactly what's taking place. So when you have, for example, in the relationship aspect of it, you have a few individuals. Now, when I say a few individuals, I mean a few individuals who have had the privilege of experiencing a relationship not defined and materialized and manifested by 3D belief systems, but a relationship that is created, enhanced, brought into union and balance from a masculine-feminine aspect in the dream state, which is not restricted by all of the controls in the waking state consciousness. You have the opportunity to experience freely. This then, a small example, can be added to the collective. And if you have a few hundred people doing this, this can be added to the collective. And as this positive creative influence is added to the collective, there's a displacement that must take place. And this displacement is of the lower vibrational template collective information that was installed there. So that what happens, the souls coming in, or the entities or the beings coming in, can tap in to the collective, access the information, filter it through as knowledge and experience, that they can then redefine, remanifest, and retool based on their individuality and their creative expression that is unique to them, but is presented by the collective. So the collective, as this pattern continues, becomes brighter. It becomes stronger as more and more people add to the collective through their experience. For example, sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is rampant in your societies. It is. And sexual abuse is the misappropriation, the manipulation, the abuse of the creative force, the divine within you, sexual energy itself. Kundalini energy and creativity is nothing more than sexual energy manifesting in higher chakras. But it can't manifest in any pure sense of form until the abuse and manipulation in the old collective has been displaced. So individuals will go into the dream state training and they will do as such. They will experience sexuality in a very free and expressive form without the restrictions placed there that are in the waking state. I hope some of you are following along what I'm saying here. This is a very big picture, and I'm finding that more and more you need to develop something that I have. It's called vision. Vision is the ability to be able to look beyond just yourself. Because I find so many people in the spiritual community are just focused on themselves. That's all they care about is just themselves. They have no vision at all. It's all about them. All right. And then you have a few of us up here who are not all about them or us or me. We're here to be of service. All right. So more of you might try that. So many people are taking on this planet. There's not enough giving. And sometimes the givers get drained by the takers. That's going to stop. That's horseshit. That is not adding to the collective in a positive way. So right now, the purging of the sexual energy is going on. All right. It's really amazing to me. You know what? Because again, I'm going to kind of repeat this again. When I look at one particular religion in this particular perspective, one of them is just rampant with sexual abuse right now and pedophiles. All right. So where did these pedophiles come from? Did it just happen? Did it just happen by a process of osmosis? To get to the stage where we are now, where pedophiles are cosmopolitan all through our society, there has to be a source or a point of origin. You can look at one particular religion, and you can see it. All right, it's a male-dominated religion, and all of the men who are so imposed upon looking important and impressive, who spend their whole days running around with little round hats on and frocks, pretending that they're divine ministries of God, if that person actually exists, and then doing the stuff that they're doing, and that religion still functions is beyond my imagine. And they're still adding to the collective. When if they wanted to change it, they only need to do two things. Just two. And the problem's solved. And a whole line of pedophiles that have been created over generation and now filtered in from that point of origin into everyday society can be eliminated from the collective. And those two things are, one, allow women to become priests, which they should have done 100 years ago, and two, let them marry. Problem solved. All right? It's the same thing, I see this every year. And this just goes on. Another thing is I see in our reality is this stupid changing of the time thing, which is actually going to happen today. We've been diddling around with this. Science has proven that it's non-functional, it doesn't help, and it's actually dysfunctional to do this. And like a bunch of clones, we still do this stupid shit. We're all going to go to bed tonight here in Canada, and we're all going to lose an hour's sleep. And yet people are, it's going to be bad for business. But you know what? We have one province, Saskatchewan, in Canada. They don't change their time. They're all by themselves. They got the same time every year. So what's wrong with the rest of Canada and the U.S.? Like, wake up. Stop contributing to the collective. Fix it. We can do something here. So what happens is when you're doing this, and you have people doing this, and some people will be specialists, if I can put it that way. They will have come in, and they're here to add to the collective by displacing, and I want you everybody to remember that word, displacing some of the old templating that's gone into the collective, all right? And they will come in and they will have a specialty. They will have an area that they're very good at, that they've had experience at, not necessarily all in this particular timeline, but in other dimensions and timelines also, and they will come in for that particular purpose, all right? Call it a mission, if you want. And this can happen in regards to what I call the situation of weather. In some indigenous peoples' experience, I did not say belief systems, I said experience, they have had facilitators, called shaman, I believe, who had the ability to be able to change the weather. And some of them are back, and we're retooling the weather patterns. And there are people who are not indigenous who are here who can do the same thing. And they're doing it in the dream state training exercises that you're doing, and it's beginning to filter into the collective. So, as you see this and as you see certain individuals pertaining to certain aspects in the dream state that may go beyond just their individual itty-bitty little self, and actually manifest in something bigger than you, then you're probably there to bring that into the collective to displace a lot of the crap that 6.5 or 6.3 or 5.2 billion people are still contributing. So it hasn't tipped yet in our favor here. Okay, here in the physical, it has not tipped in our favor. It's going in that direction, but we're not there yet. All right, the ocean is still being polluted. The weather still sucks and is going to, because we keep creating more of it. And the weather patterns that we're getting are created by us. The weatherman has nothing to do with it, and global warming has nothing to do with it. It's us that is screwing up the weather patterns on the planet. By the way we live, the way we consume, and the byproducts of our consumption methods that are put back into the collective, and into the water, and into the air, and into the earth. And we are going to change, whether we like it or not. Because the collective is changing as those individuals, strategically located all over the planet, are doing their thing and adding to it and displacing, remember that word, what I have been talking about at this particular point in time. So, now, there's not much more that I can give here, because I think everybody who's listening to this video, probably got bored and all buggered off because I didn't mention the word twin flames or put twin flames on the title probably. Right? That's good. You go do your thing, all right? But in giving this information, what I'm trying to do is I personally do believe that within everyone has vision. I do believe that. I've been very fortunate because there's nothing unique or special about me. I'm just your average Joe, okay? I'm no smarter than anybody else, but I've been very fortunate. And the very fortunate thing for me is I've had the advantage of waking up literally at the age of 37, which is a very long time ago. That's over 40 some years ago. It's given me something that a lot of you don't have, all right? And it's not saying anything against you, but it has given me the ability to be able to observe and experience an evolutionary process awakening through myself and watching the manifestation of human consciousness through about 3 or 4 generations of kids and adults growing up. That's an advantage that gives me a very big vision. So what I'm able to do is I'm able to tap into the collective, so to speak, or I'm able to tap into the people who are contributing to the collective, and I seem to get the information as what seems to be necessary, and anything that I give is coming from the collective, because it's time to present it in formal word definition that people can see so that they can develop vision. I believe there's vision in everyone. I don't care your station or your status, whatever. There's vision in everyone. It just needs to be quickened and awakened and vivified by having the right tools. I hope that made some sense to you, and I really enjoyed this video. It gave me a chance to really express something that's very near and dear to me, and that is the collective consciousness, what's going into it, and what's coming out of it. And I believe that's the salvation of humanity. We do not need to go in the direction that we've been going in, because we're making that transition. Right now, if you look at it this way, we're making the transition, but here we are. We're a boat in the water, and it's going like this. We're tipping from one side to the other. We're tipping from one side to the other. Won't be long. All the people that are tipping it, and there are a few in very high places that are tipping the boat, okay, they won't be there any longer. And the boat will balance itself out and be even in a masculine, feminine sense. And then watch the changes. Watch the technology go in a different direction than what it's been going at this particular point. Watch companies and corporations not be motivated by the old proverbial buck. People say, I don't believe it. You will see this. You will see this happen. Mark my words, because I've seen it. It is going to happen. Have a great day, everyone.